Hey guys, it's Matt. I made a bunch of notes for this one. We'll do a little sci-fi pondering, a little bit of an investigation, but there is absolutely some sort of truth here. There's no way I'm going to be able to put my finger on it or even collectively with comments, but there is something going on here. I've heard others talk about it. I believe I've heard Levette talk about it. It's something I've thought about and noticed myself, but I've never talked about it. Consider this science fiction that will dabble into the real. There's something here. Stalled century. We are in some sort of a stalled century. Now you can take the conspiracy around that off the charts. Even things I'm going to say early on. If you are new to this channel, if you are new to these concepts, it will seem downright batshit crazy, some of the stuff that I might pull out of my ass. However, one thing is for sure, newbies. There is no possible way to understand what is going on in this reality itself without thinking bigger and in more bizarre places and around more corners than you could ever possibly imagine. Okay? If you think it's going to take these 10 steps to find the answer, it's going to take about 1,000 steps to find the answer. And the steps won't go linearly along. They'll go up, they'll go down, they'll go in bizarre places. What is going on this planet ultimately, say, if we ever have this epiphany upon our death and what we are converts from this low 3D existence into something else, and at that point we ever have the opportunity to see what this was all about, who pulled the strings, what it was for, if we are afforded that sort of insight or vision upon our death, or at any point in the future, we'll go, oh my God, is that what the fuck was going on back there? I had no fucking idea. So I'm just saying, this we know. You can poo-poo that all you want. We don't. We have different ideas about what's going on here, but anybody that thinks they have it all figured out doesn't have a clue. That we know. That being said, again, this is going to seem very strange, but in strange as this presentation is, might hit on a few things, might bring something to the table we can build on, and if nothing else, it's good science fiction. But you'll resonate with a lot of this, a lot of people this channel. What do I mean we're in some sort of a stalled century? Okay, I will relate this back to the 9/11 ritual. Is there any newbies out there that don't understand what I'm talking about? The 9/11 ritual? I'm just starting to come around to the fact that it wasn't guys with box cutters, but what do you mean? It was a gigantic occult ritual. Spells were cast, magic. Oh, I don't know, but it's in that realm. Okay, newbies, we don't know what went down in the pentagram that day, but it is more that than 19 guys with box cutters. No. So what a coincidence that the 2001 is the first year officially of the new millennium, not 2000. We have 9/11. We find ourselves in some sort of stalled century. Forget all the magic and occult stuff and stuff I just pondered on and all the sci-fi talk. Let's just go right to the facts here. Let's just say everything's normal and forget the whole first few minutes of this video. It's still a stalled century. Nothing new ever happens. The same script repeats itself. I'm saying there's some sort of really bizarre thing going on, and we'll get to that at the end. But no matter how crazy you think those ideas are, we're still in a stalled century. So let's just go through some stuff. I made a bunch of notes here. We have no new creativity. Somehow it does not exist in this new millennium. There's no music whatsoever. It's absolutely atrocious, pathetic. And when people have argued with me about that and said, "Man, you're just getting old," and every old generation thinks the young no. The reason is almost no artist today can sell out stadiums. That's the main metric that proves that the music, say, that I had growing up was way, 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 way better than the music that they have today. Who could sell out a stadium today? Taylor Swift? I mean, who? Lady Gaga? It's a joke. No, not subjectively. Objectively, the music today sucks. I grew up. All of a sudden, there's Aerosmith with a new, and then you had the grunge movement and Pearl Jam, and then you had all sorts of classic rock, and the Beatles were just before me, and the Doors and Led Zeppelin, and Michael Jackson was. I mean, we had huge creative movements in music, and there were even U2, that fraud Bono back in the day could sell out stadiums. Maybe they still can. I doubt it. Gave 1% to charity. That fraud did. But there's no who the name the new art the great artists of today, like real artwork. We have complete stalling out in movies and music. It's almost like the minions, the controllers of this world. Um, I don't know. It's like I want to say they lost their power to create, but were they creating back in the day? Maybe they never had any power to create, and they're trying to create it now. You have atrocious, pathetic movies like the new Star Wars, The Last Jedi, and The Force Awakens. Well, yeah, wake me up. Wake me up when it's over. Wake me up before you go. Before we get the hell out of the theater. It's so bad. You have the same repeating TV shows. They have no creativity for some reason. We'll get into that. There's Magnum PI recycled. Really? I watched about 10 seconds ago of it. Of course, I'm not interested in that. They try to recycle Roseanne. What? I mean, you've had Jeopardy and the Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune going into 36 years. Going into 3/6 years. Maybe they'll stop it when they get to 36. I think it's going into a 36 year now. With the same hosts. Alex Trebek on one, Vanna White, and that other little goober. What's his name? Pat Sajak, is it? Yeah. 30. So, there's actually, I've covered this before. There's something going on there. I mean, could you imagine how crazy somebody would think I am saying the things I'm saying? Like, what is this guy talking about? Something going on, some giant conspiracy around Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, there is. Are you telling me and I'm not arguing, you guys kind of see my position on this, and we all see the world similarly, the people that come here. But if there's any newbies, you're telling me that in the 7 o'clock time slot, nationally, there's nothing else that could have been put there to make money. It's supposed to be making revenue for the network, right? Nothing could have replaced Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy. People just watch it year after year after year. Remember, Rain Man probably did. 10 Minutes to Wapner. Wapner doesn't exist anymore. That was the People's Court with Doug Llewellyn. Now they have... Nobody's tuning into Wheel for 15, 25 years in a row. After a year or two, you get sick of it. So there is no possible way. That's just the absolute best that time slot can do nationally. Not for 7 years or for 10 years, for pushing 40 years. Soon we'll be pushing half a century. No, I'm sorry if you don't see it, but something else in your very reality itself, something else is going on. Potentially a stalled century where they have no creative ability. I don't know if they gave the reins to regular people, creative spirits like you and I, we could do cool stuff, but then that's giving us power. I don't know, but that's part of the stalled century. Price is Right. You go back almost, 60 years? It goes back 15 or 20 years before Bob Barker started, I believe. That's something ridiculous, like over a half a century. Price is Right. Fun little game show in the morning, but no. Okay? At the very minimum, along the conspiracy sliding scale, there's something else going on. At the very minimum, it's there for half a century to implant consumerism, subliminally push consumerism and prices, and people getting excited about new and fabulous prizes and young women presenting the prizes. You could call me a conspiracy theory all you want. I don't care, because you don't see, and I'm not talking to you guys. this is going to be for a lot of this for the few newbies or anybody wandering upon this. But just think about it. You think that time slot, some time slot in the morning, they couldn't have come up with anything better in half a century than The Price is Right. Really? I mean, again, a newbie coming across this would not have any idea what I'm talking about, and I don't know why am I arguing with those five people. I should be talking more to you guys, the subscribers, but it's kind of a fun exercise. With General Hospital, is still there, still on. Stalled century. Started in 1963. 14,000 episodes is what I wrote down here. Something like that. 14,000 episodes. Young and the Restless, soap opera. 1973. 11,000 episodes. Look, that I almost can buy. Like, okay, people have this following and they want to see Victor, and it just goes on and on and on and on. That I can, but it's, to me, you can put it in the stalled century bucket. There's too many things. There's nothing that's happening. Let's just, this is what I should have said right off the bat. From the 9/11 ritual to 2018, where we are today. What's happened? Tell me about the new disease cures. There aren't any. Tell me about the new forms of energy. There aren't any. The way homes are constructed now, where you barely need heat. No, there aren't any. Cars, I guess, are a little quieter, and gas mileage has improved dramatically, right? No, it hasn't. Nothing's happened. Now go back and look at the year 1900 to 1920. Gigantic, massive moves. So why would those massive moves slow down? Let's just look at 1900 to 1908 Ford Model T. So you went from 1900, 1901, 1902, horses everywhere, horses all over New York City, horses all over San Francisco. By 1918, like now we're doing 9/11 ritual, to 2018, you went from horses to cities full of cars in that time period. What do we have? Another iPhone release? All they do is talk about phones all the time, like it's the greatest thing ever, phones. And I turn on the TV, I watch Monday Night Football or something. Please don't give me crap. I watch football. Every time I say I watch TV, I get all sorts of crap from people. If you throw your TV out, that's wonderful. There's still certain things, including, I also hear from how fake. I don't care. I enjoy football. Okay, I don't need a lesson. Who are you talking to here? Like, I don't know these possibilities exist. Like, I've just started doing this. I got it. I don't need a lecture every time. TV is an escape. Hasn't brainwashed me, has it? I think I'm surviving it thus far. And I like a good movie now and then, too. If you've gotten rid of your TV, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. But I don't need a lesson. Anyway, what was I going to say? I tune into Monday Night Football, and every other commercial, it seems to be about a phone. Sign up for this phone deal, get a Galaxy S or iPhone, so this new phone, what has a little bit better camera, but it's just no big deal. I mean, they make these phones out to be the greatest thing. The phone's not really doing any more for you now than it did in 2005. Okay, when the iPhone really came out, 2007 or so. That's 10 years. It's stalled. Big deal. That's all they have is phones, and they make it seem like everything's so technologically wondrous today. No, it's not. It's stalled. Nothing's changed. Nissan, the best tech you have is probably sitting in your driveway. Like everything's tech is so wonderful. Everything smart is so wonderful. Smart just means it's spying on you. That you can take smart anything. Smart television, smart dishwasher, smart tampon. Put smart in front of anything, and in the way that when the system presents smart, it means it's basically spying on you. That's what they mean by smart. And they laugh, behind the scenes, and they get off on that, but that's what it means. Movies, the same repeating themes over and over. All this new century can do is superheroes. That's it. That's all they can do, and even that's not any good anymore. That's not any good anymore. It's the same old, and then you have what is this, Deadpool, a superhero, now has cancer? Are you kidding me? It's just another subliminal implant that they try to get everybody, they want everybody believing deep down in their subconscious, everybody's going to get cancer. That's what they do. Okay, now a superhero even has it. So they want your subconscious to believe that shit. Well, then I'm gonna have it. Everybody has it. That's the point of all these side effects that for these drug commercials that just go on and on and on and on about side effects. No, implant in your mind right now that no, I don't. The rest of the world can think they're going to get all these dread diseases. I'm not going to get these dread diseases. We're mortal. We will leave this 3D existence at some point, but no, it is not inevitable that I'm going to get these diseases or cancer. Implant that in your mind. So you have the same theme in movies that I wrote down here is superhero. That's all that they can come up with. I mean, we're in some sort of a stalled century. Did 9/11, the ritual of 9/11, move reality over into a holding tank of some kind? I don't know how to describe it. I don't have any occult knowledge. I'm not initiated in anything, nor do I want to be. I'm an observer of reality. And the reality that I'm given, the reality I'm being fed, doesn't make any sense. And when the reality you're being given doesn't make any sense, the smart individual looks for other answers, looks for other explanations. And the place to look is explanations that don't make any sense. The real place to look, if your explanation or your theory about reality will be laughed at by the people around you, then you're probably onto something. Because the idiots that laugh, they don't know shit about shit. So I don't know what 9/11 did. Pushed the reality off into some sort of time loop, some sort of parallel reality, some sort of holding tank, some sort of stalled time. I don't know. But it's this type of thinking that has a better chance of finding the truth than turning on Plastic Man David Muir in the ABC News. That has not only no chance of delivering truth, it's there to brainwash and mind control you. Of course. So, what else do we have? Survivor's still on. I mean, I like the "what's your threshold" comment. What's your threshold? What if we go over 100 years with Price is Right? Will anybody wake up that something might be going on? Maybe something these idiot conspiracy theorists talk about? Like, I remember this guy on this YouTube video said if the Price is Right ever went over a century, and it just went over a century, and I can't see how that's possible. Maybe that guy was onto something. Alex Trebek is in his 55th year. Survivor. What's that? Pushing 20 plus years? Something like that? What? And I'll even give you that one. It's somewhat entertaining. I'm only on page 1 here. It's going to be a while. What do I put? Real versus fake century. Real century, 1900s to 2000. Real things happened. Real progress happened. Real influence on people's lives. By the 1900, the big cities had electricity. Much of the suburbs, red state America, didn't have electricity. By 1918, I'm doing the parallel, 1900 to 1918, year 2000, or the 9/11 ritual to today. By 1918, and the way rural, the farmland didn't have electricity, but any sort of suburb pushing around a major city had electricity. More than half the country had electricity. Or just the big cities, right around 1900. That's a major change in life. Yeah, I know. I'm going to get a lesson from somebody how they hijacked Tesla technology and Edison created something that could be, that you could get a monthly bill for. Yeah, I know. I know all that free energy stuff. I know. Of course we should have free energy. But it still is a positive progress. I mean, sitting around with candles, it's not only dangerous, it's depressing. It was a big deal. We have nothing like that. So why wouldn't, with these microchips, that apparently 18 million microchips fit on the end of a pin, the progress, not that I want more technology or I don't want a chip in me, but I'm just saying it's stalled. Even technological process and processes has stalled. Not that I don't want any more technology. I wish we could go back in time and live like real human beings in clans and amongst people. But it's just another example how everything in this new century is stalled. And this guy is he actually pointing back to the 9/11 ritual as to explaining why all this is? Yeah, potentially. How else can you explain it? We're stalled in every, throw a dart into any topic. We're stalled in it. There's no progress. There's no cures for anything. Where's the explanation? Exploration in space. Where's exploration above the planet? Ooh, he said planet. Oh my God. Unsub, 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 unsub. Um, I'm in a rare mood Friday night and I haven't had anything to drink. Um, Obviously, I don't, nobody went to the moon. I don't think anybody goes anywhere. That's my take. But if the world is real as they describe it to us, we should have all this new progress. Apollo missions was 1969. Again, whether it's real or fake, that's not the point. The point is, it's just more evidence of my stalled century theory. What did I write down here? Here's some more stuff. Okay, it's interesting the progression. This is kind of a side note that doesn't relate directly to the point, but there's a progression of movies to make people believe in space in the Apollo missions, and even that seems stalled. They can't come up with anything new. You have the movie, the big one, to reinforce the moon mission, right about the time it was likely needed. Where in '83, The Right Stuff. Now, most people in '83, 99% didn't question the Apollo missions. Oh, of course we went. I hate this, I'm getting away from that. Of course the United States went, and of course Nixon talked to Neil Armstrong on the moon. That makes perfect sense. You know, his his voice went out through a 300 million megawatt tower to the moon, and it makes sense that Neil Armstrong would be able to talk back via his little transistor dish with 8D batteries. His power coming back was 8D batteries, and I guess he had to keep that dish pointed at the Earth, moving at 60,000 miles per hour. Yeah, so that makes sense. But so right around 1983, the first movie to cement that this was actually done, when of course it wasn't, was The Right Stuff. And it's still a wonderful movie that I almost could watch it still, knowing it's all fake, but it's just a wonderfully done movie in every sense. I don't know if it won anything or whatever. Then, right about the time it was needed again, we need to cement this moon story. It's getting like 20 some years after, and people might start to question it. So here comes the big one. You know what it is. Tom Hanks. Not The Right Stuff. Tom Hanks, Apollo 13, 1995. Wonderful movie. When I saw it in 1995, didn't question that we went to the moon one tiny, tiny bit. Was one of the best movies I ever saw. And even today, if it comes by on a TV show, I almost can watch it. It's that well done. But that's the other, again, these big movies come out to cement the lie. Now what do we have? Well, past that, well, if we get a chance to talk about that ridiculous Matt Damon movie, The Martian, I mean, just an absolute atrocious movie, up and down. We have First Man. I mean, did anybody out there see First Man? I would never see First Man, of course. But the purpose of First Man, it's just the latest string of movies that cement the lie. Now, I think they supposedly did First Man, like they tried to do it really well, like The Right Stuff, like Apollo 13, but if First Man stinks, I wouldn't be surprised because somehow they seem to have lost their creativity. I don't know if they can put out a quality movie in any topic or under any topic or genre anymore. They've just lost it. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I can see almost from a musical perspective, because how many new types of music can you come up with? But from a movie perspective, the fact that we've had 3 or 4 decent movies over the last 10 years, where the 10-year to 20-year period before that, we had 100 quality movies, from the almost the over-the-top summer action thriller / slapstick like Armageddon. When I saw Armageddon in 1996, of course I believed everything about space. And it's an incredibly well done movie that, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's the definition of a summer blockbuster. Then you had, wonderful movies like Forrest Gump. None of that stuff exists today. Why? Why? Forrest Gump. I think that was in the last century. More stalled century evidence. We have the same narratives in the news in this new century that just go on and on and on and on. We have constant Middle East war. 9/11 wasn't the first time there was conflict in the Middle East, of course. It goes back a long ways, back into the 70s and 60s, but the theme around the Middle East now, and these wars that go nowhere, that involve and always seem to involve the United States. It's just, to me, it's just another loop of the script of the new century, a script we can't get out of, some sort of loop we're stuck in. Um, in the new century, like, there's no country that can manufacture anything but China. I mean, just somehow all these countries, if everything was real, would compete for manufacturing, would say, Nike, come here, I can make the sneakers. And I know there are some things made in other countries like Indonesia, some things, but China has, it's something ridiculous, like 95% of all the manufacturing is through China. That's not because they were better businessmen or they outcompeted, it's because the powers that run this world, that is what China is. That is what their designated role is in this reality script. There are other third world countries that could offer to have factory workers paid $3 a day. That could happen in 40 or 50 countries, but it's always China all the time. The answer, again, people would think China just outcompeted everyone. No, I'm sorry. The real answer to we crazy conspiracy theorists is that is China's role that the puppet masters gave it. It all comes down from Mount Olympus. It all comes down from on high. What else do I have here? We have no new companies. No new companies. I don't know. Look at the 70s, 80s, 90s. I remember being in elementary school, and this kid had Nikes. And I don't know. It was like, wow, what is that sneaker? He's like, yeah, they're really good. And actually, I had a problem with them, and the company sent me a new pair for free. And we were like, really? And it was the first time I ever saw Nike. And of course, like 5, 6, 7 years later, Nike became this huge national, then global company. And just when I was growing up, we had, just all these, Coca-Cola company had existed for 50 years, but there were new industries and new Microsoft came up and all these new companies. And I understand the role of the corporations in running the puppets, the politicians, folks. I got it. But I'm just, again, please don't assign these examples good or bad, meaning positive or negative. They're just examples of the stalled century, good or bad. No new companies. What's the last new company that took the U.S. by storm? What are you going to say? Amazon goes back to the 90s. That's last century. Facebook? Is that all we have in the new century? Think about it. All these new products and ways of doing. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm not going to sit here and tell you corporations are great. These are the evil monsters that run the world. They're above the politicians. I'm aware of that. But it's just more evidence. We have no new companies. We have Facebook. Is that what we have in the new century? Facebook? That's it? But somehow we have this global growth. Statistics, the lie of statistics. You couldn't have global growth with no new industries, no new companies, just people buying new phones. Is that what gives you global growth? It's all fake. It's all cooked up. It's part of the stalled century. You can get as magical, mystical, conspiratorial, or occult with this stalled century as you want. And that's kind of the carrot that I'm dangling here. I look forward to a lot of the comments. With the same exact auto companies. Nobody can make a new car. I don't know what this little Genesis manufacturer is. There's these pretty decent looking cars called Genesis. Did that come out of Hyundai? That's still been around 10 years. We still have Toyota. We still have Honda, Mercedes. We have last century stuff. Nobody can make a car in this century. Stalled century. Planes. We have the same two old companies that make planes. We have Airbus Industry, the European Union. It's 4:59. Got to go home. Can't you stay till 5:05? No, I've got to call my union official. 4:59. I'm fucking out of here. That's the European Union. Boeing, probably not much different. We have Boeing making the other half of planes. It's the same script. Airbus gets a bunch of contracts in some years and Boeing looks bad, and then Boeing makes Airbus look bad and blah, blah, blah. No, nobody new can build anything. Okay. Planes, what else is stalled? You have the same exact TV stations and networks for the most part doing the same exact things. Yeah, we have all these little, tiny cable outlets that popped up. So what? We still have Fox, NFL, and ABC Monday Night Football. It's all stuff from the last century. If you watch Fox NFL, they're using the same. They use this robot. If you know what football at all, da 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 da. Oh, they use the same music that they've been using for 20 years, stalled century. And then there's this robot that stands off to the side as they do some advertisement. And I thought about the other day, related to stalled century, and I thought, is that robot that cool where they're using it for 20 years? Like 20 years, the same dumb cyber robot before the NFL comes on. Like, well, really? Is it that good? I don't know. Come up with something new. I mean, I'm so sick of seeing that robot. I don't know what Biz Markie, that old rapper, you got what I need. You say she's just a friend. I don't know what he's doing. I'd rather see him standing over there during Fox NFL than that damn robot. And then speaking of Fox NFL, you got the same exact crew in there for 20 plus years. Like what? Terry Bradshaw playing that same role, acting goofy, acting funny. Howie Long, who doesn't age ever. Was he 60? Looks to be 38 or 40. Hasn't aged in 20 years. I'm not saying they're clones. I'm not going into there. I don't know what's going on. I think reality is some sort of a simulation, and all this evidence does not. It helps my simulation theory, guys. It doesn't hurt it. The stalled century stuff. And you've got the same. Oh, Jimmy Johnson been there forever. Oh, you added that sellout, that obnoxious. What's that guy's name? The New York Giants lineman, Michael Strahan. Oh, is there anybody more? And then he gets his own morning show, and like what? It's the same crew. How's that? I said no cure for diseases. We've covered that. The same old political scripts run over and over. Constant scandal. If you're a politician and you rise above a certain level, there's going to be a scandal. It's part of the script. It's like this is the script. And all the other scripts, they had stacks and stacks of these books everywhere. And they lost them all. They can't access them. And they just got this. We just have to. All we can do is go the same script. We'll use it. These assholes are buying it. Use the script. But we've talked about Russians hacking the election now for 18 months. It's asshole. You're not listening to me. This is between me and the two controllers having this conversation. It's all we have. And we can't fucking create anything new because we don't have any creative power. Why don't we use the creative energy, the human beings, the spirited humans that have the creative, unlimited creative power? Why don't we use them? No, we can't bring them in. No, that's like giving 4-year-old boys, instead of their little cap guns, loaded guns. No, we can't ever introduce them to that sort of entree to power. So go with the same bullshit script. If we have to say Russians hacked the fucking election for 35 months, do it. That to me is what reality seems like, and I'm sure to you as well. Scandals never end. Scandals continue, but I wrote here, and the way it's presented just grows in its buffoonery. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, like scandal back in the day, like Michael Dukakis or some scandal, or Watergate seemed dramatic. It seemed real. Now the scandals, it's just like a joke. It's just a bunch of buffoons. Like, Stormy Daniels and this. I mean, it's just a joke. They can't present the script. It's always been a script, but they can't present the script as well as they used to present it. No doubt about it. You agree, I'm sure. There's no new big Broadway plays. Back in the day, in the old century, Oh, Phantom of the Opera was a big deal, man. I'm in my late 40s. Phantom of the Opera was a big deal. And guess what? Any asshole out there talking to me about Hamilton, you haven't seen some of my other videos. Really? Phantom of the Opera was actually good. I mean, turn your face away from it was good, okay? The music was wonderful. Was it Andrew Lloyd Webber? I don't know. But Hamilton stinks. That Lin Miranda, whatever his name, Lin Miranda writes, he can't sing, he can't act. If things were real, he couldn't get a leading role in his high school play, in my opinion. But this is the biggest thing. It's a stalled century. To me, Hamilton has always been an ode or a trophy to themselves about how they created the central bank to screw us all over. But maybe it's not just mocking us about the central bank and putting it in our face about Alexander Hamilton, the creator of the first central bank in the United States. Maybe, like I said, or the premise here is they have no creative power. And we've got this Hamilton thing. Well, is it any good? Well, by the standards of Broadway over the last 40 years, it sucks. What else do we have? Go with it. Seems to be the way they do things now. We have the same thing with housing market. We have giant busts and booms and busts and booms in San Francisco. Once again, I lived through it in the .com era. Here we have all these teachers again living out of their cars because the teachers don't make enough in California to afford housing. It's a real problem. I feel for those people. The purpose of this video is it's just part of the same script. This reality can't leave its script. A script that gets narrower, it's in a box, and more pathetic. There's no creativity to the script. It's always been a script, but I think they had the creative ability to make people believe it. I wrote down MTV was MTV. I don't know why this is, and I don't really even know how this relates to this conversation, but let's just go sidebar. It's a reality breakdown that growing up, anybody under age 30 has no idea what I'm talking about, or under age 35. But if you're over 40, MTV was a big deal, and it was a lot of fun. I know about the Masonic Lodge, and who are you talking to? I got it. I know. If you're new to this channel, this stuff's not new to me. Okay, but I don't care. MTV. I remember coming home from elementary school. No. Junior high school, I guess. I don't know, like 6th or 7th grade maybe. And my mother had gotten cable. I was like, oh my God, it was like the greatest thing ever. On top of the TV were these buttons, 20 buttons. And then like the 10th button, I don't even think they were numbered, just was MTV. And the video that was playing was U2 New Year's Day. All is quiet on New Year's Day. I hate Bono. I think he's a scum of the earth. Absolute monster. But that's a hell of a song. Sunday Bloody Sunday, that era, wonderful, wonderful music. I don't care who Bono, I know what he is, but it's wonderful music. And it was, when it came on, and was just, I watched MTV nonstop for weeks and weeks and weeks. Then Thriller came, Michael Jackson. It was never-ending cool stuff. Now, what do we have today? Every time you go by MTV, it's like 16 and pregnant. And people have questioned this over the years. I've seen these comments like, well, this huge media conglomerate, it was Viacom. I don't know what it's called now. It's called something else. Sumner, Redstone, and other monsters own it. It's like, well, why don't they just keep MTV for the music videos? If they want to run 16 and pregnant all the time, like they don't have the Viacom, a monster power player, can't create a channel 500 on your cable to show 16 and pregnant all the time. Why does it have to be on MTV? There is something to that relates to the nature of reality itself. And I know that's so bizarre, so conspiratorial, and I can't reconcile it. But it just doesn't, it's a reality breakdown because there isn't really good music, no good acts, but there's some popular stuff. Lady Gaga comes out with some new stuff. MTV would just still be videos, and a lot of people would be interested in that. Well, What happened to it, and why would it ever happen? A lot of stuff breaks down if you actually think about the conversation that would always go back into the back room. Like, what's the conversation that took place to decide this? And that's where a lot of reality breaks down. Where you say, did somebody just go into somebody's office, like somebody under Sumner Redstone, if he's even the guy, I don't know, whoever owns CBS and Viacom, and he said, well, I think we should take music off MTV. Like, did somebody actually propose that at some time? And it's like, genius, come into my office. Why would you propose that when these other bullshit shows we can create other channels for like 50 cents a channel? And like, YouTube's never going to have a giant video again. There's something to it that relates to the nature of reality itself. I don't care how fucking nuts that sounds to people. Most people that have been here a while will kind of understand what I'm saying. Because there's no reason it would ever happen, as bad as music is. Well, Matt, don't you know that any channel is just about maximizing profitability? If you believe that, you have no idea how the world really works. There have been countless movies and shows put together because of the influence that show will have on the eyes of the viewers. These people have unlimited money. They can call on the little bat phone, the Fed, and get whatever they want. They don't need money. It's not about Jeopardy and the 7 o'clock time slot. It's not about maximizing profitability. It's most likely about phrasing things in the form of a question that casts some form of a fucking spell. Who is Alex fucking Trebek? Alex Trebek. No, that's wrong. You didn't say who is. Get the fuck out of here, asshole. Oh my god. You've never seen me do a video like this. I don't know why I am. Alright, what else do I got? Real versus fake dictators. I could go on forever in the stalled century. I don't know if, the old dictators were real, but they seemed real. I like the movie Black Hawk Down. What happened in Somalia seemed real to me. Muhammad, Farid, Adid, whatever. Some scary fucking dictators. And now we have, who's the dictators of the stalled century? Kim Jong-un. As Levette would say, Kim Jong-un. Un means not. The un-cola. The not-cola. Kim Jong-un. He's not Kim Jong. He's something else. I always said Kim Jong United Nations. The UN. Un. It's supposed to propagate peace. Levette would say it's un because it does the opposite. It fosters war. It does. You have Kim Jong-un in every picture. He's just smiling. Yeah. Your uncle talked bad about you. Have him killed. He's a joke. He's fake. The North Korean construct is fake. It's not real. Okay? Stalled century. Whether he's real or not, it's still a stalled century list item because you look at the little fat bastard and he's a joke. He couldn't scare anybody. Couldn't scare a fly. Couldn't even scare Dennis Rodman. No new energy. All this stuff. At least the last century we had nuclear power plants. Don't you know, Matt? They're fake. No, I'm sorry. I drive right by the Limerick power plants with cooling towers. I can't even tell you how high. They dwarf New York City skyscrapers. Constantly billowing out steam. I've been in the Penn State reactor room where they actually showed you in the water, the pool of water, the control rods glowing blue. So no, I don't believe. I'm not commenting on nuclear weapons. That's something else. Nuclear power is not fake. It's just. We want everyone to believe nuclear power is real, so we'll build this. Well, you could build a little cooling tower like San Onofre, 2 boobs, but for Limerick, build something twice as high as most New York City skyscrapers. Use 800 million pounds of cement, and then we'll have steam billow out of it for 30 years. But it is just a ruse. And then when at the Penn State reactor, we'll just have these kids lean over, and it's just this little blue light. We'll go get those Spencer Gifts black lights, and we'll say it's nuclear power. No, it's real. Okay? Nuclear weapons, who knows? It could be fake. If somebody said nuclear weapons were fake, well, that wouldn't surprise me. The whole world is fake. But I do turn my lights on. I know that's not fake. I'm sitting here with light. See? Oh, I've got another light on. No new energy. Same old stuff. No great gas mileage standards. It's the same old bullshit in the stalled century. That's it. That is all the notes I took on stalled century. So if you guys have any other examples for stalled century, please list them. And also, you know, let no ideas off the table. What went down, and does it relate to the ritual of 9/11? What went down to put us into, to shift us over into a stalled purgatory? And that may be a figurative description for a group of controllers that have lost their creativity, or it could be quite literal. Could be quite literal. Levet always talks about they've found a way to turn back the astrological clocks. They're stalling for time. Maybe there's a lot more going on here than we can imagine. No ideas off the table. All I can do is, when I show you a list that long of just recycled bullshit from the last century, when I give you a list that long of no creativity in any area, the same recycled bullshit, but that turd smelled a little bit. This one really stinks, like the recycled MacGyver or Magnum PI. There's enough evidence that something else is going on. Something is going on here. Even though, even after all the evidence I presented, you show this video to normal people, and 99 out of 100 of those people on the street would think I'm batshit crazy. I hope you guys don't. Thanks.